Section 94 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Frogs Desiring a King by Aesop. The frogs were living as happy as could be in a marshy swamp that just suited them. They went splashing about, caring for nobody and nobody troubling with them. But some of them thought that this was not right, that they should have a king and a proper constitution. So they determined to send up a petition to Jove to give them what they wanted. "Mighty Jove," they cried, "send unto us a king that will rule over us and keep us in order." Jove laughed at their croaking and threw down into the swamp a huge log, which came down kerplash into the swamp. The frogs were frightened out of their lives by the commotion made in their midst, and all rushed to the bank to look at the horrible monster. But after a time, seeing that it did not move, one or two of the boldest of them ventured out toward the log and even dared to touch it. Still it did not move. Then the greatest hero of the frogs jumped upon the log and commenced dancing up and down upon it. Thereupon all the frogs came and did the same, and for some time the frogs went about their business every day without taking the slightest notice of the new king log lying in their midst. But this did not suit them. So they sent another petition to Jove and said to him, "We want a real king, one that will really rule over us." Now this made Jove angry, so he sent among them a big stork that soon set to work gobbling them all up. Then the frogs repented when too late. Better no rule than cruel rule. End of section 94.
Section 95 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Winnifred Assmann. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Frog and the Ox by Aesop. "Oh, father," said a little frog to the big one sitting by the side of a pool, "I have seen such a terrible monster. It was as big as a mountain, with horns on its head and a long tail, and it had hoofs divided in two." "Tush, child, tush," said the old frog. "That was only Farmer White's ox. It isn't so big either. He may be a little bit taller than I, but I could easily make myself quite as broad, just you see." So he blew himself out, and blew himself out, and blew himself out. "Was he as big as that?" asked he. "Oh, much bigger than that," said the young frog. Again the old one blew himself out and asked the young one if the ox was as big as that. "Bigger, father, bigger," was the reply. So the frog took a deep breath and blew and blew and blew, and swelled and swelled and swelled. And then he said, "I'm sure the ox is not as big as—" But at this moment he burst. Self-conceit may lead to self-destruction. End of section 95.
Section 96 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Lauren Fontaine. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Cock and the Pearl by Aesop. A cock was once strutting up and down the farmyard among the hens, when suddenly he espied something shining amid the straw. "Ho-ho!" quoth he, "that's for me," and soon rooted it out from beneath the straw. What did it turn out to be but a pearl, that by some chance had been lost in the yard? "You may be a treasure," quoth Master Cock, "to men that prize you, but for me I would rather have a single barley-corn than a peck of pearls." Precious things are for those that can prize them. End of section 96.
Section 97 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Fox Without a Tail by Aesop. It happened that a fox caught its tail in a trap, and in struggling to release himself lost all of it but the stump. At first he was ashamed to show himself among his fellow foxes, but at last he determined to put a bolder face upon his misfortune, and summoned all the foxes to a general meeting to consider a proposal which he had to place before them. When they had assembled together, the fox proposed that they should all do away with their tails. He pointed out how inconvenient a tail was when they were pursued by their enemies, the dogs, how much it was in the way when they desired to sit down and hold a friendly conversation with one another. He failed to see any advantage in carrying about such a useless encumbrance. "That is all very well," said one of the older foxes, "but I do not think you would have recommended us to dispense with our chief ornament if you had not happened to lose it yourself." Distrust interested advice. End of section 97. Read by Anita Hibbard, October 25th, 2022. Section 98 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Fox and the Cat by Aesop. A fox was boasting to a cat of its clever devices for escaping its enemies. "I have a whole bag of tricks," he said, "which contains 100 ways of escaping my enemies." "I have only one," said the cat, "but I can generally manage with that." Just at that moment they heard the cry of a pack of hounds coming toward them, and the cat immediately scampered up a tree and hid herself in the boughs. "This is my plan," said the cat. "What are you going to do?" The fox thought first of one way, then of another, and while he was debating, the hounds came nearer and nearer, and at last the fox in his confusion was caught up by the hounds and soon killed by the huntsman. Miss Puss, who had been looking on, said, "Better one safe way than 100 on which you cannot reckon." End of section 98. Read by Anita Hibbard, October 26, 2022. Section 99 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Dog in the Manger by Aesop. A dog, looking out for its afternoon nap, jumped into the manger of an ox and lay there cozily upon the straw. But soon the ox, returning from its afternoon work, came up to the manger and wanted to eat some of the straw. The dog, in a rage, being awakened from its slumber, stood up and barked at the ox, and whenever it came near, attempted to bite it. At last the ox had to give up the hope of getting at the straw, and went away muttering, People often grudge others what they cannot enjoy themselves." End of section 99. Read by Anita Hibbard, October 26, 2022. Section 100 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Fox and the Goat by Aesop. By an unlucky chance, a fox fell into a deep well from which he could not get out. A goat passed by shortly afterward and asked the fox what he was doing down there. "Oh, have you not heard?" said the fox. "There is going to be a great drought. So I jumped down here in order to be sure to have water by me. Why don't you come down too?" The goat thought well of this advice and jumped down into the well. But the fox immediately jumped on her back, and by putting his foot on her long horns, managed to jump up to the edge of the well. "Goodbye, friend," said the fox. "Remember next time, never trust the advice of a man in difficulties." End of section 100. Read by Anita Hibbard, October 26, 2022.
Section 101 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. Belling the Cat by Aesop. Long ago, the mice held a general council to consider what measures they could take to outwit their common enemy, the cat. Some said this, and some said that. But at last a young mouse got up and said he had a proposal to make, which he thought would meet the case. "You will all agree," said he, "that our chief danger consists in the sly and treacherous manner in which the enemy approaches us. Now, if we could receive some signal of her approach, we could easily escape from her. I venture, therefore, to propose that a small bell be procured and attached by a ribbon round the neck of the cat. By this means we should always know when she was about, and could easily retire while she was in the neighborhood." This proposal met with general applause, until an old mouse got up and said, "That is all very well, but who is to bell the cat?" The mice looked at one another, and nobody spoke. Then the old mouse said, it is easy to propose impossible remedies. End of section 101.
Section 102 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales, by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Jay and the Peacock. A jay, venturing into a yard where peacocks used to walk, found there a number of feathers which had fallen from the peacocks when they were molting. He tied them all to his tail and strutted down toward the peacocks. When he came near them, they soon discovered the cheat, and striding up to him, pecked at him and plucked away his borrowed plumes. So the jay could do no better than go back to the other jays, who had watched his behavior from a distance. But they were equally annoyed with him and told him, "It is not only fine feathers that make fine birds." End of section 102. Read by Carrie Adams, your book voice, at Mesa, Arizona, on the 3rd of December, 2022. Section 103 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales, by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Ass and the Lapdog. A farmer one day came to the stables to see to his beasts of burden. Among them was his favorite ass, that was always well fed and often carried his master. With the farmer came his lapdog, who danced about and licked his hand and frisked about as happy as could be. The farmer felt in his pocket, gave the lapdog some dainty food, and sat down while he gave his orders to his servants. The lapdog jumped into his master's lap and lay there blinking while the farmer stroked his ears. The ass, seeing this, broke loose from his halter and commenced prancing about in imitation of the lapdog. The farmer could not hold his sides with laughter, so the ass went up to him and, putting his feet upon the farmer's shoulder, attempted to climb into his lap. The farmer's servants rushed up with sticks and pitchforks, and soon taught the ass that clumsy jesting is no joke. End of section 103. Read by Carrie Adams, your book voice, at Mesa, Arizona, on the 4th of December, 2022.
Section 104 of the Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales, by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Ant and the Grasshopper, by Aesop. In a field one summer's day, a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to its heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing along with great toil an ear of corn he was taking to the nest. "Why not come and chat with me," said the grasshopper, "instead of toiling and moiling in that way?" "I am helping to lay up food for the winter," said the ant, "and recommend you to do the same." "Why bother about winter?" said the grasshopper. "We have got plenty of food at present." But the ant went on its way and continued its toil. Then the winter came. The grasshopper had no food and found itself dying of hunger, while it saw the ants distributing every day corn and grain from the stores they had collected in the summer. Then the grasshopper knew it is best to prepare for the days of necessity. End of section 104. Section 105 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics, Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Woodman and the Serpent by Aesop. One wintry day, a woodman was tramping home from his work when he saw something black lying on the snow. When he came closer, he saw it was a serpent, to all appearance dead. But he took it up and put it in his bosom to warm while he hurried home. As soon as he got indoors, he put the serpent down on the hearth before the fire. The children watched it and saw it slowly come to life again. Then one of them stooped down to stroke it, but the serpent raised its head and put out its fangs and was about to sting the child to death. So the woodman seized his axe and with one stroke cut the serpent in two. "Ah," said he, "no gratitude from the wicked." End of section 105.
Section 106 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Milkmaid and Her Pail by Aesop. Patty, the milkmaid, was going to market carrying her milk in a pail on her head. As she went along, she began calculating what she would do with the money she would get for the milk. "I'll buy some fowls from Farmer Brown," said she, "and they will lay eggs each morning, which I will sell to the parson's wife. With the money that I get from the sale of these eggs, I'll buy myself a new dimity frock and a chip hat, and when I go to market, won't all the young men come up and speak to me? Polly Shaw will be that jealous, but I don't care. I shall just look at her and toss my head like this." As she spoke, she tossed her head back. The pail fell off it, and all the milk was spilt. So she had to go home and tell her mother what had occurred. "Ah, my child, do not count your chickens before they are hatched." End of section 106, Read by Jennifer Wilson.
Section 107 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Lion and the Mouse by Aesop. Once, when a lion was asleep, a little mouse began running up and down upon him. This soon wakened the lion, who placed his huge paw upon him and opened his big jaws to swallow him. "Pardon, O king," cried the little mouse. "Forgive me this time. I shall never forget it. Who knows but what I may be able to do you a turn some of these days?" The lion was so tickled at the idea of the mouse being able to help him that he lifted up his paw and let him go. Some time after, the lion was caught in a trap, and the hunters, who desired to carry him alive to the king, tied him to a tree while they went in search of a wagon to carry him on. Just then the little mouse happened to pass by, and seeing the sad plight in which the lion was, went up to him and soon gnawed away the ropes that bound the king of the beasts. "Was I not right?" said the little mouse. "Little friends may prove great friends." End of section 107.
Section 108 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. Hercules and the Wagoner. A wagoner was once driving a heavy load along a very muddy way. At last he came to a part of the road where the wheels sank halfway into the mire, and the more the horses pulled, the deeper sank the wheels. So the wagoner threw down his whip and knelt down and prayed to Hercules the strong. "O Hercules, help me in this my hour of distress," quoth he. But Hercules appeared to him and said, "Tut, man, don't sprawl there. Get up and put your shoulder to the wheel. The gods help them that help themselves." End of section 108. Section 109 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Lion's Share. The lion went once a-hunting along with the fox, the jackal, and the wolf. They hunted and hunted, till at last they surprised a stag, and soon took its life. Then came the question how the spoil should be divided. "Quarter me the stag," roared the lion. So the other animals skinned it and cut it into 4 parts.
Then the lion took his stand in front of the carcass and pronounced judgment. "The first quarter is for me in my capacity as king of beasts. The second is mine as arbiter. Another share comes to me for my part in the chase. And as far as the fourth quarter, well, as for that, I should like to see which of you will dare lay a paw upon it." Grumbled the fox as he walked away with his tail between his legs, but he spoke in a low growl. "You may share the labors of the great, but you will not share the spoil." End section 109. Section 110 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Fox and the Crow. A fox once saw a crow fly off with a piece of cheese in its beak and settle on a branch of a tree. "That's for me, as I am a fox," said Master Reynard, and he walked up to the foot of the tree. "Good day, Mistress Crow," he cried. "How well you are looking today! How glossy your feathers! How bright your eye! I feel sure your voice must surpass that of other birds, just as your figure does. Let me hear but one song from you, that I may greet you as the Queen of Birds." The crow lifted up her head and began to caw her best. But the moment she opened her mouth, the piece of cheese fell to the ground, only to be snapped up by Master Fox. "That will do," said he. "That was all I wanted. In exchange for your cheese, I will give you a piece of advice for the future. Do not trust flatterers." End section 110. Section 111 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Dog and the Shadow. It happened that a dog had got a piece of meat and was carrying it home in his mouth to eat it in peace. Now, on his way home, he had to cross a plank laying across a running brook. As he crossed, he looked down and saw his own shadow reflected in the water beneath. Thinking it was another dog with another piece of meat, he made up his mind to have that also. So he made a snap at the shadow in the water, but as he opened his mouth, the piece of meat fell out, dropped into the water, and was never seen more. Beware lest you lose the substance by grasping at the shadow. End section 111. Section 112 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Wolf and the Lamb. Once upon a time, a wolf was lapping at a spring on a hillside, when, looking up, what should he see but a lamb just beginning to drink a little lower down. "There's my supper," thought he. "If only I can find some excuse to seize it." Then he called out to the lamb, "How dare you muddle the water from which I am drinking?" "Nay, master, nay," said the lambikin. "If the water be muddy up there, I cannot be the cause of it, for it runs down from you to me." "Well then," said the wolf, "why did you call me bad names this time last year?" "That cannot be," said the lamb. "I am only 6 months old." "I don't care," snarled the wolf. "If it was not you, it was your father." And with that, he rushed upon the poor little lamb and ate her all up. But before she died, she gasped out, "Any excuse will serve a tyrant." End of section 112. Section 113 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Bat, the Birds, and the Beasts. A great conflict was about to come off between the birds and the beasts. When the two armies were collected together, the bat hesitated which to join. The birds that passed his perch said, "Come with us." But he said, "I am a beast." Later on, some beasts who were passing underneath him looked up and said, "Come with us." But he said, "I am a bird." Luckily, at the last moment, peace was made, and no battle took place. So the bat came to the birds and wished to join in the rejoicings. But they all turned against him, and he had to fly away. He then went to the beasts, but soon had to beat a retreat, or else they would have torn him to pieces. "Ah," said the bat, "I see now. He that is neither one thing nor the other has no friends." End section 113. Section 114 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Belly and the Members. One fine day, it occurred to the members of the body that they were doing all the work and the belly was having all the food. So they held a meeting and after a long discussion decided to strike work till the belly consented to take its proper share of the work. So, for a day or two, the hands refused to take the food. The mouth refused to receive it, and the teeth had no work to do. But after a day or two, the members began to find that they themselves were not in a very active condition. The hands could hardly move, and the mouth was all parched and dry, while the legs were unable to support the rest. So thus they found that even the belly, in its dull, quiet way, was doing necessary work for the body, and that all must work together, or the body will go to pieces. End section 114. Section 115 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gora. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Fox and the Grapes. One hot summer's day, a fox was strolling through an orchard till he came to a bunch of grapes just ripening on a vine which had been trained over a lofty branch. "Just the thing to quench my thirst," quoth he. Drawing back a few paces, he took a run and a jump and just missed the bunch. Turning round again, with a 1, 2, 3, he jumped up, but with no greater success. Again and again he tried after the tempting morsel, but at last had to give it up, and walked away with his nose in the air, saying, "I am sure they are sour." It is easy to despise what you cannot get. End section 115. Section 116 of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Daniela Gura. The Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson. The Swallow and the Other Birds. It happened that a countryman was sowing some hemp seed in a field where a swallow and some other birds were hopping about picking up their food. "Beware that man," quoth the swallow. "Why, what is he doing?" said the others. "That is hemp seed he is sowing. Be careful to pick up every one of the seeds, or else you will repent it." The birds paid no heed to the swallow's words, and by the hemp grew up and was made into cord, and of the cords nets were made, and many a bird that had despised the swallow's advice was caught in nets made out of that very hemp. "What did I tell you?" said the swallow. "Destroy the seed of evil, or it will grow up to your ruin." End of section 116. End of the Junior Classics Volume 1, Fairy and Wonder Tales by William Patten and William Allan Neilson.